Emmett was speechless. He didn't even know what to say and how to say it. The woman refused to cut him a slack so he can peacefully board his plane. It was time-consuming for him, and he couldn't bear with it anymore. What he got to say left everyone impressed and very much inspired with his statements. Regardless, traveling is fun, but airports could be relieved as a stressful component. Flights could get delayed, the luggage could get lost, and even getting searched by security could be quite exasperating sometimes, so traveling can be a very tricky thing sometimes. However, this wasn't an issue for Emmett, but a woman, when he didn't even know, almost ruined his day. As he was on his way to the Dominican Republic as planned one day before his birthday, so can have the right amount of time to celebrate it when he arrived. Someone had out for him and kept eyes on every step he takes and every move he makes as he stood in line to board his flight. Apparently, she was determined to ruin his day. The line was shambling forward, but then he heard a woman right behind him screams, "Excuse me, excuse me." As she touched his shoulder, he turned around to see what was going on. Little did he know, he was on the edge of starting a kind of argument that he never dealt with his entire life. The woman kept staring at him up and down with a condescending behavior. She then pointed her chin at the sign above her with a mocking smile as she sat out the words. Emmett was very much stupefied by her actions. She kept pointing out that he was probably in the wrong place because the line was for people flying first class. However, right before Emmett tried to rectify, she yelled at him in a very unpleasant way. "Let us through." Emmett attempts to keep it together and handle the situation as he wonders if something is wrong with this rude woman. Then, he looks at her tranquilly and easily explained that he didn't make any mistakes and that indeed he is meant to be in the same line as she is, but the woman kept insisting that he might be in the wrong place. Emmett is trying to talk to her with some logical sense, but she declined to let the situation go and told him that he will get called after they board. For an attempt to appease the argument, he showed her his plane ticket in order to convince her that he was in the right place. Shortly after that, she was looking outrageous, turned to her friends, and then made some disrespectful comments about Emmett and how he might be military. Then she pursued by saying that he still should have to wait as well. Emmett was stunned by her attitude and reactions. He kept giving her the benefit of doubt, but she evidently thought that he couldn't afford a first-class ticket without even knowing him. She was judging him based on his skin color and thinking that he was a second-class citizen. Emmett couldn't believe that he actually was in this kind of situations. He kept on being nice and didn't want to make a hasty judgment before learning or considering all the facts. He kindly explained himself and told that he is waiting in the same line as her and that it wasn't a mistake nor a misunderstanding. He then started to question the dress code. He was thinking that he wasn't properly dressed for this flight, but when he took a look at her clothes too, he thought that she wasn't well dressed either. Emmett couldn't steer clear the issue anymore, and then he turned back to the presumptuous woman and insinuated that he was too large to be in anybody's military. He begins to explain that he had to take the first-class seats for the sake of his own comfort. Emmett was thinking that this woman didn't have any right to challenge him about where he should or shouldn't be, aside from the fact that servicemen and women in the military aren't given free first-class seats. Up until the present time, and shortly after, people were starting to gather around to catch a glimpse of what was going on down there. Soon afterwards, Emmett, despite himself, decides to stand up for himself. He made her a remark that froze her right into her place in disbelief, and his words felt like a dagger in her soul. Emmett stood there telling her and everyone else there with the most polite and well-mannered, but yet very expressive, that he is just a normal African-American citizen with money. The crowd began to cheer and to clap for him and for what he just said, but the story wasn't quite over just yet. Emmett standing up for himself against this woman's prejudice and wrong judgments was well-deserved. He then shared his story on Facebook, but soon enough, his post went viral, and he began to receive so many reactions beyond his expectations within just 2 days. His post was shared over 250,000 times, and hundreds of comments were poured in by so many people that he didn't even know. Never judge a book by its cover, as one said to him. By the time Emmett arrived to his destination, the amount of people sharing and commenting the post was uncountable. But shortly after, he began to regret the post. He was all about standing up against racist behavior and actions, but he thought that he caused this woman problems and made her life a living hell, which is something he didn't intentionally want to happen. Some people were claiming, as well, that his post was fake, so he decided to address to those people and confirm that the story was definitely and without a doubt real. But he also thought that he should have taken care of the situation in a different way, and that he shouldn't share the story to the public even though his intentions were completely good. He only wanted to make an end to this kind of disgraceful behavior. Shortly after, he wrote on Instagram that he always tries to put himself in other people's place in order to feel what they feel and ask himself how they must be feeling. He also ensured that he's compassionate with the woman, and he feels for her although she was the one mistreating him in the first place. Ultimately, Emmett aimed to publicly apologize to the woman he had a quarrel with and confirms that no matter what, she didn't deserve any of what happened to her right after this post went viral. The woman didn't accept his apology, but if Emmett went through the same thing again, he would have done things and handled the situation differently even though she deserved what happened to her. Ultimately, Emmett aimed to publicly apologize to the woman he had a quarrel with and confirms that no matter what, she didn't deserve any of what happened to her right after his post went viral. The woman didn't accept his apology, but if Emmett went through the same thing again, he would have done things and handled the situation differently even though she deserved what happened to her.